I just told you. Good afternoon and welcome back to the weekly recap show for Trailblazer Athletics. I'm Dan Wohler here with Assistant Athletic Director Jeff Polari. Jeff, how are you today?
Doing well, Dan. Snow is falling. It's got to be basketball season.
It is the winter season here at MCLA, the 2016-17 season underway. And we'll begin with women's basketball. They had their first game against SUNY Cobleskill and losing that one in a close game, 66-60.
It was a close game all the way through. Tough opener on the road at Cobleskill. Ultimately came up just a little bit short, 66-60. Cobleskill pulled away late with some free throws. Just had some trouble getting the ball in the basket late in the game. Had an early lead, stumbled a little bit in the second quarter, so to speak, and ultimately that doomed us as the ultimate finale.
Right, and for the Trailblazers, who are some key players in that game starting off the season?
You know, everything kind of revolves around Kayla Hoteling, but she battled foul trouble all night in the opener at Cobleskill, and Courtney McLaughlin was there to pick up the slack. She scored a game-high 20 points. Really did a nice job being the lead scorer for MCLA throughout the course of that game.
And then MCLA played their home opener against Dean College, and that was a very close game. It was tied up at halftime, and MCLA just coming out with a win in that game at home.
Same thing, back and forth action. MCLA jumped ahead early, struggled with Dean's speed a little bit. Ultimately, going into halftime, the game was tied 28-28. Dean came out, kind of owned the early part of the second half, and ultimately MCLA would chip away and come away with a key bucket late in that game to pull away.
Yeah, so MCLA winning the first game at home, first win for head coach Lauren Stock, and a huge player in that game was Courtney McLaughlin. She was key.
Courtney McLaughlin did a great job, and she ultimately had the game winner. And let's take a look at that game winner now. You can see her cutting back door to the basket.
54, Trailblazers with the ball now. Robinson looking for an inbound. Goes to Clausen. And Hoteling comes down with the ball, goes to McLaughlin. McLaughlin's got it. Huge bucket, 20 seconds to go.
As you can see, great play call there off an inbounds pass, almost a turnover. Ashley Clausen giving it up to Hoteling, and then ultimately McLaughlin was cutting back door wide open for the bucket. MCLA would go on. Dean had a nice chance with 19 seconds to go with a timeout of their own, and ultimately the defense came up with a really key turnover, some defensive pressure late in that ball game, helped MCLA hold on, secure the victory. You can see here some good pressure. Ashley Clausen diving on the floor for a jump ball, which ultimately went in MCLA's favor, and they came away with the victory. They ran out the clock from there.
Yeah, huge victory for the Trailblazers. Truly a nail-biter all the way through. And we'll look ahead to games they've got coming up this week. Got a game tomorrow night, game Saturday, and more on the way.
Yeah, kind of a difficult schedule here heading into the Thanksgiving week, but they'll be at home for 3 straight, starting with Becker tomorrow night in the Amsler Campus Center gym. Then we'll be off until Saturday through the Thanksgiving holiday. We'll have Curry College coming into the campus center on Saturday afternoon, and then LaSalle College from Boston will be coming in Monday night. Good chance for MCLA to kind of build on the momentum of the Dean game, executing down the stretch, and hopefully they can pile up some wins here heading into the bulk of their season.
That would be wonderful to see. And now on to the men's basketball side. They've been struggling a little bit. The opening game for them against Linden State in Vermont.
They opened up in Linden, and a lot of new faces, a lot of new parts, and a lot of key places, and ultimately they were all on display, and didn't get off to a good start up at Linden. Defensively struggled quite a bit with the Hornets, and ultimately we came away with a pretty good setback. Linden put up over 90 points against the Trailblazer defense, and that ultimately did them in.
And the men's team coming off a weekend tournament down in Connecticut College, not faring too well down there.
Yeah, it was a tournament hosted by Connecticut College and the Coast Guard Academy, jointly hosted a Coaches versus Cancer tournament. MCLA open play at Connecticut College on Saturday. Really struggled with their size. Connecticut College shot the ball well from 3-point range, ultimately in a lopsided affair. The second game yesterday afternoon, MCLA held the lead for the majority of the game, 41-40 at halftime after a couple of back-to-back 3-pointers off the bench, and then held the lead late in the second half, actually with 8.5 minutes to go, 66-64. From there, the back-to-back games and the lack of some depth really caught up to MCLA. MCLA. Didn't score over the final 8:30 as the Coast Guard Academy ultimately pulled away in that one.
Who have been some key players for the men's team starting off this season?
Had a couple of nice starts out of Nolan Bird, junior forward for MCLA. He's done a really nice job the last couple of days. Had 20 points the other day against Coast Guard Academy. And Keelan Cross also has been playing quite well. Keelan was just recently named the MASCAC Rookie of the Week following his performances. Averaged 11.5 points, been in double figures all 3 games thus far this season. So he's been a nice surprise here early on in the season as well.
And now to look ahead for the men's team, they've got a game tomorrow night against Williams.
Things do not get easier for MCLA. That's always been the case. They always play a perennially very difficult schedule. They'll be making the short trip over to Williamstown tomorrow night to face the East, 7 o'clock. That'll be a great challenge. Another NESCAC opponent. Williams always puts out a great product on the floor. It'll be quite a challenge to match up with their size, their perimeter shooting, and hopefully this team will just continue to grow and get better and progress as we head into the deeper part of the season.
Sure, we can hope for that. And stepping outside of the winter season and outside of basketball, Dylan Pereira, senior on the men's soccer team, was recently awarded. Yeah,
so sometimes late in the year you start to pop up some of these awards. The New England Intercollegiate Soccer League, NESL, has nominated Dylan Pereira for their All-Star game. What's really neat about that is he's one of the first Trailblazers to go since the mid-90s to this event. So great honor for him as he wrapped up his career a couple of weeks ago at Shoecraft Field and certainly left his mark on the program, and a great way for him to cap off what's been a nice 4-year run for him.
Yeah, it definitely started out as MASCAC Rookie of the Year and then getting this award as a senior. It's really nice to see. And that'll do it for this week here on the weekly recap show for MCLA Athletics. For myself and Jeff Polari, I'd like to thank you for watching. And remember to follow MCLA Athletics on all of their social media pages, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Thanks for watching.